In this video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into Notebook LM and looking at all the ways we can customize this for our students' learning. So you can see I am on a new tab right now. I'm just going to go to notebooklm.google.com, and when I get to that, you will see there are all sorts of notebooks that I have made in the past. We're going to create a new one. I could either click plus here or click create new over here, but we're going to make a new notebook LM, and we're going to start to get ready and pretend that we're creating a student learning resource for a particular unit or topic, right? So we all have different learning topics that we go through with kids. This is a way for you to take all of your best learning resources, put them into one space, and then customize an AI tool to support learning of those resources. First thing I want to point out to you is there is a Google Drive button down here, and I can click Google Drive and then select anything related to a particular unit or topic. I can also search this. So we're going to go with Civil War battles as our theme. So I'm going to go in here and see what resources do I already have related to Civil War battles, and anything that I would want to add from my resources. I am able to choose those right away. You might want to put a unit guide in. You might want to put some helpful learning resources that you've had. So I could choose anything that I have and then just insert that into the Notebook LM as a resource. So that is one thing you can do. Another thing that you can do, if there's a website you've used in the past, you can just take the URL from that website and paste that in. So maybe I have a great web resource that I want to be included into my unit. I could do that here. Same is true for YouTube videos and also just text. Okay. And you'll notice I haven't added anything yet. And that's because I want to show you something really cool that this can also do. So I'm going to go up to the top right and choose Discover Sources, Resources for Teaching the U.S. Civil War to 8th graders. So basically, I'm sending this out on the web. I could also have sent that to my Google Drive, but I'm just going to send it out to the web and hit submit. It's going to curate for me a list of resources that would be relevant for whatever prompt I gave it, right? So I could have given it any topic. I could have also given it an explicit standard from our Ohio standards, and it would go out to try to curate resources for us. And as it searches the web, eventually we're going to get a list. And then from that list, we can choose which ones we want to use and which ones we don't. And it's as easy as checking a box. So I'm going to go through here and take a peek. If anything looks sketchy to me that I do not want to include, I would not. These at first glance look okay, and this is a demo video, but let's pretend I really don't want to include this. I can uncheck it right there. Now I'm only importing these 9 resources. As soon as I begin to import resources into this tool, it is going to start to curate a nice summary of all of the things that were included in this. And every time I add something to that, so when I go in here, I'm just going to choose one thing, this hidden hero cards. We'll add that. It is going to update to include any resources that have been added. I could always go back to the Discover Sources again and search, or I can also go back and add things later. Now, by default, this is going to answer at a very adult level. So when someone gets in and starts asking a question of all these resources, it's going to answer like it's talking to either a older high school student or a collegiate user. So what we want to do first is click this configure notebook, and this is going to allow us to not just choose our response length, right, but also customize our conversational style. So I'm going to go with a shorter one, and in our custom instructions, I'm going to say respond like you are talking to 8th graders, be engaging, use analogies to help support learning, and make them relevant to teenage interest. I could have given any direction that I want there. This is just an example of something you might say, right? So by telling it our grade level, it's going to customize the reading level. It's also going to customize our response length so that we don't get crazy long answers that are overwhelming to kids. So that is one thing you can do. And now, whenever I ask a question, what are some key battles from the Civil War? It's going to be able to go through those resources and then customize based on my custom instructions that I gave. The next thing that we want to be aware of is Notebook LM is a powerhouse creation tool. There we go. So it says, hey, 8th graders studying the Civil War. There we go. It's customizing that. It's doing a pretty good job of giving me a neat response. Something to notice, it's going to actually tell them which resource this came from. So if they wanted to click in and see what the actual resource says, they can do that. But it's also going through all of those resources to find the best possible answers based on what I provided to it. Next thing to know, there are some creation tools in this studio section along the right-hand side. You could click audio overview. If you click this, it will generate a podcast style response that just talks about all of the main things from this collection of resources. However, a better way to go about doing this is to click the pencil button, and you can see I get a lot of choices as to the type of resources I can create. So I'm going to create a brief. This is a bite-sized overview. I could choose language that I want this output to be in, and this will be conversational and spoken. And I can also choose what I want them to focus on. So this is an entire unit's worth of content here. I might choose to make just one small podcast episode that talks about the role of women in the Civil War. So by giving it a prompt and using that little pencil icon, I could now create an entire series of podcast episodes that might focus on different key topics that we're talking about each day. And that's going to go ahead and start generating an audio overview. The same is true for the video overview. And the video overview, I'm just going to hit the button just to show you what that looks like. It's going to take a little while to generate. Some other things that you can customize, I can make flashcards that are an interactive learning tool. I could make a quiz with some different questions. And anywhere you see the pencil, you can give custom instructions to it. Kids could go in and utilize the mind map feature. There's really cool breakdowns by time frame as well, potentially. I could generate a report based on all the sources that talks about the main things in each of the sources. Really useful tool. The other fun thing you'll notice when I create in Studio, it's now putting a learning resource in this space for kids, right? So if I had a particular query that I sent this asking about the major battles, I can also save this to a note, and that will show up on this space as well. So as a teacher, you can ask questions and then share the responses that you get as a note in your resources. Okay, wonderful. Now, how do we give kids access to this? So when we click a new tab here and I go to my Schoology page, I'm going to be able to sign in, go to my course that I want to distribute this Notebook LM in. I'm going to click into that, and it's as easy as clicking Add Materials, finding the Gemini logo, clicking it, and then it's going to ask me, do I want to share a custom gem that I've made, or do I want to share a Notebook LM? And when I select Notebook LM, it will pass this out to the kids. So, and you can see it will just add that to the course. They will be able to access it. Very, very useful, easy to distribute learning resource for kids. And any topic, any sources that you want to give them access to, right there at your fingertips. Hope this is helpful.